Good morning, everyone. Everybody come on in. I'm going to pull up my Bible verses for you guys so we have a little bit of reference. Basically, I'm going to talk about what I have yet to hear a church talk about. And it's the story of Jacob and Esau and how it relates to where we are today. Okay. And I know I put the mark in the title, and you'll see why in a minute. So if you go back to the book of Genesis we'll back up further than that. So Abraham is called the father of us all. Okay. So that's all inclusive, right? So Abraham and Sarah had Isaac. Isaac and Rebekah had Jacob and Esau. Okay. So that is in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, in Romans 9, it is talking where God says, Jacob I have loved, Esau I have hated. So it's kind of hard to hear that God hates somebody, but that's what he said. And if he said it, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. So if we back all the way up to the story in Genesis about Jacob and Esau, if you remember, Esau was born first, Jacob was born second, and Jacob came out like holding his heel, remember? And so this goes on to today. It's just been forgotten because I guess the Western world, we've made it where everything needs to be all fair. But it's never been fair. It was never fair in the Old Testament. But that's whatever. So anyway, the firstborn really gets a double portion. The firstborn male gets a double portion of all of the blessings. So Esau would have received that double portion of the blessings, and Jacob would have received blessings, but Esau would have gotten more because Esau was born first, okay? But if you remember all the way down in Romans, God said, Jacob I have loved and Esau I have hated. So you're like, wow, God's hating a firstborn, and which is just very interesting. And so when they were born, Rebekah was told that Esau would serve Jacob. Well, that's out of order too, because Esau was first and Jacob would be serving Esau in that time. And so, but it was said that Esau would serve Jacob. Fast forward to these boys turning about 15 years old, because they're twins, right? And so Esau was a hunter of the field, and Jacob was like a keeper of the shepherd, like kind of like herbs and kind of things like that, right? And Esau was the hunter. Esau, they're 15. Esau comes in from hunting, and Jacob is in there, we call it the kitchen now, but Jacob's in, and he's cooking, and he's making this big stew or whatever. And Esau is very hungry. He's famished. And he says to Jacob, his brother, give me some of that food. And Jacob says to him, sell me your birthright. And Esau replies and says, well, what good is my birthright going to do me if I'm going to starve to death? So he sells his birthright to Jacob. Some of y'all have already caught on to what's going on right now when you can apply it to right now. So Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. Okay. The story goes on and there's a lot more to it, but we're going to stop right there because this is the point that I was told to make. Fast forward to today. Okay. And we have, if you've been born again into Jesus Christ, into the kingdom, you now have a birthright, right? We have a birthright. We have a place in the kingdom. And we are going to hit some times where we're going to be hungry. We're going to be starving. There's going to be a famine. Our children, that's probably harder to think than anything, is to watch your children starve to death. Because it's going to happen, because it's in the Bible. I mean, you can't, if you're going to want to argue with somebody, take it up with the Lord, because that's just what he said. And so what's going to happen is Christians are going to sell out their birthright for the mark so that they can get food to feed their children. Well, let me encourage you today, sisters and brothers, if you're watching. I'd like to typically talk to the ladies Um, let me encourage you this. If you decide to sell your birthright, because that's what you're doing if you take the mark, you're selling your birthright. If you decide to do that, understand you may feed your child for a day, you may feed your child for a week, but eventually your child is going to die, as are you. And selling your birthright, you have sold your place in heaven. And I don't have to tell you that it's not worth it. I encourage everyone to go read up what I'm telling you. I tell everybody, whatever I say, don't trust anybody. Don't trust me. Don't trust anything that anybody is telling you. Go to the Bible. And for those people that say, well, man wrote the Bible, listen to me. God can protect his own word. Okay. He can protect his holy word. The ones that our eyes are closed and they're not meant to be open, they're not going to be open. But the ones whose eyes are open, they're going to stay open and remain open. And so I just encourage you, search it out for yourself. Go to Genesis. I don't like to tell people where to go in the Bible and where to look this stuff up, because you know what? I had to search it out for myself, and that's how I know these things. And you have to search stuff out, because eventually our Bibles are going to be gone. And if this word is not written on your heart and your Bible is gone, you're going to believe any lie anybody tells you. So they could come along and say like, oh, God never said that. Well, then you don't have a way to back up because you never read it for yourself. So go read it for yourself. So anyway, I encourage you to start in Genesis, read the story of Abraham and Sarah, and as it goes on to Isaac, and then Isaac and Rebecca have the two boys, and kind of how that goes down. And let your spirit speak to you the way it will, okay? The way my spirit spoke to me, allow your spirit to speak to you. Continue to talk to the Father. Continue to pray that the blessed hope will come and we will be rescued out of here quickly. So I love you all very much. Praying for this world, praying for all of my friends and family. God bless.